Hello, welcome back to Religious Studies class, and I am delighted to have you here with me today. The topic you will be learning today is titled Deliverance from Egypt. Deliverance from Egypt. And you will learn how God gave Moses miraculous power to deliver the Israelites from the terrible hands of the Egyptians. You will also learn about how the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. And lastly, how the Egyptians perished in the Red Sea. All right. Remember that Moses was born at the time when the children of the Israelites were under severe bondage. And of course, Moses' mother couldn't hide him any longer when he was born. She had to put him in a basket, and she placed the basket near the river bank. While Pharaoh's daughter came to take her bath, she saw the basket, and eventually she raised Moses as a prince in Egypt. And of course, God called Moses after he ran away from the Egyptians, after he ran away from the land of Egypt into Midian. God called him out from the burning bush. Moses answered God and asked, "What if the elders of Israel won't believe me?" That's after God had called him from within the burning bush. Moses asked, "What if the elders of Israel won't believe me? What if they won't listen to me? Suppose they say, 'The Lord didn't appear to you.'" And so God asked him, "What do you have in your hand?" And Moses replied, "A wooden staff." The Lord said, "Throw it on the ground." And so Moses threw the staff on the ground, and immediately it turned into a snake, and he ran away from it. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Reach out your hand and take the snake by the tail." And so he reached out and grabbed hold of the snake, and immediately turned back into a staff. The Lord said, "When they see this miraculous sign, they will believe that I appeared to you. I am the God of their fathers. I am the God of Abraham. I am the God of Isaac, and I am the God of Jacob." Then the Lord said, "Put your hand inside your coat." And so Moses put his hand inside his coat. And when he took it out, it was as white as snow. It was covered with a skin disease. "Now put it back into your coat," the Lord said to Moses. And Moses put his hand back inside his coat. And when he took it out, his skin was healthy again. It was no longer as white as snow. It was healthy again. His hand was like the rest of his skin. These were the miraculous signs that God gave to Moses, so Moses can show the people of Egypt these signs and then eventually let the people of Israel go. The Lord asked the Israelites to camp around the sea when the Israelites were about to cross the Red Sea. When the king of Egypt realized that the Israelites had left, he changed his mind and decided to go after them, hoping that he would be able to bring them back to work as slaves again. And so the Egyptians chased after the Israelites. All of Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen and all of his troops went after them. They caught up with them as they camped near the sea. When the Israelites saw them, they were terrified, they were afraid, and they cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out to the desert to die? You should have left us in Egypt." And Moses answered the people and said, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see how the Lord will save you today. Do you see those Egyptians? You will never see them again." And then the Lord spoke out to Moses. He said, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people of Israel to move on. Hold your staff out. Reach your hand over the Red Sea to part the water, and then the people can go over the sea on dry ground. And so the Red Sea eventually parted, and the Israelites walked on dry ground. But of course, the Egyptians saw them, and they still chased after them. All of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen followed them into the sea. Near the end of night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud. He saw the Egyptian army and threw them into a panic. He kept their chariot wheel from turning freely, and this made the chariots hard to drive. The Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for Israel against Egypt." Then the Lord spoke to Moses. He said, "Reach your hand out over the sea, and the waters will flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." That's after after the Israelites have successfully crossed over to the other side of the sea. And so Moses reached his hand out over the sea, and at sunrise the sea went back to its place. It was as if there was no dry ground in between. And the Egyptians tried to run away from the sea, but the Lord swept them in it. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen. It covered the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the people of Israel into the sea. None of the Egyptians were left. They all perished inside the sea. Wow. That was how God delivered the children of Israelites from the terrible hands of the Egyptians, even after they refused to let them go. And so they all perished in the Red Sea. We have come to the end of this lesson. I hope you had a nice time learning about the topic of today. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.